to me, number 56. My name is Dr. Shelley Sue. My address is 6065 Southwest Grand Oaks Drive, Corvallis. Lived here more than 50 years, hate to admit. Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, and attendees, I am a PhD toxicologist. I'm a former EPA employee. I'm a former OSU faculty member, and I'm a longtime cancer researcher. So I believe I'm qualified to speak about the dangers that the landfill poses to our community and to our environment. Last Thursday, I sat through the testimony given by Republic Services, and there were several omissions and inaccuracies presented that gave me pause. And I thought I might address a few of those and have another comment. I don't believe that Republic Services has really performed to the standards of our community with respect to Benton County's longstanding commitment to worker safety, for example. I was unhappy to learn last year that union workers at the landfill were forced to go on strike due to lack of attention to workplace hazards, such as chronic respiratory exposures, improper safety training, and other issues. Last year, the company gave annual raises to all of their non-union employees, but not to the union workers. And the company is under investigation by the National Labor Relations Board. Republic Services has not been transparent, of course, in reporting methane emissions from Coffin Butte and is currently under investigation, as you know, by the EPA. The EPA encountered a lack of cooperation in measuring these methane leaks at the site. Last Thursday, they were still presenting incorrect information about methane leaks. They testified that explosions, for example, are not a concern at this site. That is simply not true. The EPA has documented emission plumes that exceed 100,000 parts per million air concentrations, which is right in the wheelhouse of producing profound explosive events if there's an ignition source available. In fact, the methane emissions at CBL are so high that the EPA has now designated the landfill as a super emitter. Now, in my term at the EPA, those kinds of words were only used to describe the very worst of heavy industrial polluters, and I mean the worst. And it may not be important, but I was a little bit surprised, and one of the persons discussing with Ms. Bisco that they characterized methane as heavier than air, which surprised me because it is not. But whatever, I move on. We all know that methane stinks, but methane is odorless, so it does not stink. The landfill stinks. That smell you detect is probably hydrogen sulfide gases, which was pointed out. What they didn't seem very concerned about those, but it is an unassailable fact that those gases are substantially and alarmingly linked to lung cancer. Okay. There was also discussion about the leachate chemicals. These chemicals are endocrine disruptors and carcinogens. I didn't hear any mention, though, as my predecessor discussed, about the expelling of these gases in PFAS chemicals in the gas. This is a true fact. PFAS burps from landfill gases are highly toxic when they're inhaled, and they can be transported quite long distances. Recent studies by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and other agencies have shown that PFAS aerosols leaving landfills through gas emissions can be similar to in concentration and even greater than the amount of PFAS that you're seeing in the leachate. Everyone's concerned about the leachate. They should be concerned about the air. Again, I did not hear this mentioned by Republic Services, but it is a fact, and I can cite it if you like. The landfill's nearing the end of its lifetime, and granting Republic Services an extension, it just provides a temporary Band-Aid on the myriad of environmental problems that we already have out there that have not been addressed. I think it's also important to point out as a citizen that Benton County has a long, the landfill is in direct opposition to the mission statements and objectives that guide this government and have guided it for a long time. They have a long history of commitment, Benton County does, to economic and environmental sustainability. Benton County has a climate action plan to reduce carbon emissions from all county operations and to be a net zero carbon emitter by 2050. It's a little bit laughable to suggest that buying a few electric buses and replacing some cars with hybrid vehicles is going to put a dent in the county's greenhouse gas emissions when you have more than 1,000 tons of methane gas leaking annually from the county landfill. The Benton County's own website proclaims that the county government's primary purpose is to protect and improve the health of individuals of our community, to secure healthy and prosperous communities now and for the future. I'm quoting this, and that they are committed to a vibrant, livable community with access to a high quality of environment for all. These are all good things. The government should be devoted to all of those things. This is what the government is supposed to do. So I encourage Benton County to live up to their mission statements and other programs promising this commitment to the health and well-being of citizens of this county and the environment. Granting an expansion is in serious misalignment with those stated priorities and responsibilities. It seems that the prudent thing to do would be to decline the extension and to focus your efforts on the work of securing a new landfill site. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Sue, I'm sorry, Dr. Sue, probably.
Call me anything you want.
Very good. Could you please clarify again your source for the particulate, so the emissions in methane when you,
Many,
and
you can go
PFAS.
to ACS 2024. There are many, many articles written about it. You can go to the,
Actually, if I could interject,
Yeah.
the planning commission isn't free to just go out onto the World Wide Web and look for things. So if the materials that you reference are not in the record, they won't be looking at them.
I will provide it. I'm sorry I didn't write it in here, but I only had 6 minutes. So
Very good. Thank you.
anything else? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Sue.